Welcome to the show. You're watching the Fox Business Network. Let's start with Republican Senator Tim Scott, whose home state of South Carolina is largely reopened. Senator, great to see you. You know, your take on this, sir. Health experts, including the former head of the CDC. Great to have you on, Senator. You know, we're seeing experts warning, a quote, of many waves of COVID-19 if the economy opens too soon. But we're seeing protests breaking out in multiple states saying we're losing our jobs, we're losing our income. We're seeing suicides on the rise, alcoholism on the rise. They're saying poverty kills as well. The media is basically saying if you cover that side of the story, the media is ignoring it than that. The mainstream media and the Democrats are having a fit over even discussing reopening. Where do you come down on this?
Well, Liz, that's one of the reasons why I love your show. You tell the facts. The bottom line is simply this. The last report I saw showed that 41 of the 50 states have cases that are static or declining, and hospital capacity is right where it needs to be in order for us to start a responsible reopening of our economy. This is an absolute necessity. If you think about why we shut the economy down, it was for hospital capacity. We've met that goal. And frankly, knowing this, 99.9% of Americans will leave this virus with their lives intact. So the question is, how do we reopen our economy and save as many lives as possible? The answers are fairly clear. You start with nursing homes and our senior citizens, and then you work to those folks who have more than two underlying conditions or more. If we do that, we are able to responsibly reopen our economy using the hygiene and social distancing protocols and get back to work. Our lives are at stake in this process.
Yeah, you know, the state lawmakers in states like Pennsylvania are saying they're doing it responsibly. People are saying, I've got to pay my bills. We can reopen responsibly and do social distancing and mitigate the risk. I mean, Senator, you know this. More than 36 million people have filed for jobless benefits. And you know who gets hit the hardest? The poor people, low-income people. Nearly half of those filing jobless benefits are the poor. Your reaction?
Well, the bottom line is we need to get this economy moving for several reasons, not to mention the fact that everybody needs to pay their bills. Bottom line is this, that 48% of Americans did not have $400 in their savings account going into the coronavirus. Imagine where it is right now. If we get people back to work, they can pay their bills. There is dignity in work. There is this sense of accomplishment, and your self-esteem also on the line as well. But more importantly, we can open the economy and save lives. It's not a binary choice of one or the other. We can do both. We're seeing it happen in South Carolina and all around the country. The Dakotas have less than 100 deaths in the two states combined. We should take the responsible approach of getting people back to work as soon as conceivably possible.
You know, Georgia and Florida are moving to reopen. They're not seeing a dramatic spike higher in cases. You know, here's the thing. We saw retail sales and factory output, of course, in a shutdown, they would decline double digits. The New York State is now seeing potentially 1 million people facing homelessness because of the shutdown.
Yes.
So, you know, but then let's look at what's going on inside the states. You're seeing in Pennsylvania, Republican lawmakers are saying to the Democrat governor, hey, you know, local counties and businesses are going to open, but the governor there is saying, you know what, I'm going to suspend local small businesses operating licenses if they open in defiance of my shutdown order. You saw that happen in Michigan. So your take on what's going on in the fight inside these states?
Well, Liz, I spoke about Michigan earlier, and what I found in my research was that 6 out of 83 counties in Michigan represent 80% of the cases and about 80% of the deaths. In other words, 77 counties might be on the verge of opening in a very safe and responsible manner. We should take a serious look within states and give people the opportunity to get their economies moving, especially when the oppressive nature of governors in states like Michigan and Pennsylvania do not reflect the will of the people. We have to take the will of the people into consideration because they're not going to stay at home. An unjust law will be broken by many, many Americans, and we need to take that into consideration and not put them in harm's way. We do that by responsibly reopening this economy and taking super sound science plus common sense, and that should lead us on how to responsibly reopen the economy. And we're seeing that in South Carolina. Our cases are static. Our hospital capacity is better than it was before the virus started, and that means that we can isolate the hot spots, mitigate the spread, and get people getting a paycheck again.
Yeah, we're seeing JCPenney moving to file for bankruptcy, Neiman Marcus, J. Crew moving to file bankruptcy. Wall Street is warning you will see more bankruptcy, let me wait for it, in leisure, in hospitality, in restaurants, energy, airline, real estate. We're warning about more bankruptcies there, sir. So, you know, I mean, of course, we saw Michigan shut down its capital in Lansing yesterday, but it's had multiple protests. It's canceled its legislative session. We're now seeing, you know, threats against the Democrat Governor Whitmer. Critics are saying that's unacceptable. Michigan does have the fourth highest, you know, fatalities in the nation.
Yes.
And also the Michigan governor faces a lawsuit. But talk to us more about how, leave it to the citizens to do it correctly. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin State Supreme Court saying, listen, the citizens of the states are doing it, can do it responsibly and follow the guidelines to reopen. And then they're moving to do that. Your take on that?
Well, there's no question at the beginning of this virus, they told us we would lose 2.4, up to 2.4 million Americans. And right now that number, I saw the latest projection says 134,000. Why a drop of over 90%? Because we can trust Americans to follow the proper social protocols, the hygiene protocols, the distancing protocols, the masks that we're seeing all over the public. Americans are willing to do what is necessary to be able to go back to work and be in charge of their lives. We are a free and independent people. There is no way to keep us down for long. And frankly, it has been the responsible actions of the everyday person that has bent the curve and flattened the curve in such a way that we can now have that serious conversation about responsibly opening our economy. And think about this. If we don't do it, we cannot force people to stay at home for months and months and months until a vaccine happens. That's just not only irresponsible, but it won't happen. So what we have to do is make sure that we reinvest in our people.
You know, to this development, too, we're tracking this. 36 states have released 16,000 prisoners from jail due to COVID-19 fears. Groups like the ACLU are filing class action lawsuits against counties in order to release prisoners from jail. We're tracking serious criminals who have committed major felonies being released from prison. At the same time, you're seeing states go after small businesses with fines and suspending their operating licenses if they reopen, even jail time.
Crazy.
They're threatening. So your take on that development?
Well, no doubt. I'm thankful for the governor of Texas who told the beauty salon owner she has no right, no reason whatsoever to be in jail, and he helped to get her released. And at the same time, we're seeing this free release from our prisons. We need to be very careful not to overreact to this virus, especially when it comes to public safety. The good news is we've seen citizens at home enjoying their families, their loved ones. If we throw on top of that thousands upon thousands of violent criminals being returned home, trying to keep them from getting the COVID-19, that may actually put more lives in jeopardy than the ones that you release, the neighborhoods that they go back to, the communities that they go back to. So what we have to do, and we have to do it almost with surgical precision, is to make sure that we safeguard the health of this nation, and you start that at nursing homes. You continue that by having folks who have symptoms isolating. When I looked at the Department of Corrections in Michigan, about 2,000 of the folks in the Department of Corrections had the virus. There is a way to isolate so that you can mitigate the spread of the virus. You may have to take your prisons or your incarceration facilities and divide them out so that people are isolated within the facilities. We cannot, I want to reemphasize this, we cannot allow people to leave prison who are violent criminals and a threat to our society.
Senator, it's always great to have you on. Come back soon.
Thank you, Lisa. Look forward to it. Have a great day.